Hello and welcome to Tooch News Network's The World's 9 Best Fantasy Football Players Week 3 recap and Week 4 preview. The best place to get breaking news and storylines from around the league. I'm your host, and this is what we've got for you this week. Week 3 saw one of two unbeaten teams go down, leaving Demo Gordon as the sole team amongst the ranks of the unbeaten. To recap Week 3 games, we send it out to La La Land with Tommy Bahama.
A very happy week 4 to all 9 of our best fantasy football fans. I'm Tommy Bahama, here to provide your TNN Week 3 recap. We start today in Miami as Team Demogorgon takes on Better at Fantasy Baseball, and this weekend the name proves to be true. Better at Fantasy Baseball saw stellar performances from Patrick Mahomes and Cooper Kupp, but that would not be enough to match the depth of Demogorgon. 232 to 166, Demogorgon. Now I hope you're hungry because we're moving to Philly where Team M. Vanix served up a steaming hot cheesesteak of points to the Texarkana Bandits. Shaquille Barrett's 3 tackles for loss, including 2 sacks and a forced safety, give him a massive 33-point night, leading a slew of 20-point games that the Bandits just could not match. Feeling the loss of star Julio Jones. 221 to 192, Team M. Vanix. In McHenry this weekend, we saw a battle between a commissioner of class and the team that is ass, as the Lock'em Sock'em Robots took on the visiting, undefeated, never lost.
TNN fact checkers have deemed this team name to be a, quote, pants on fire lie.
The home crowd got the offense going this week, as the Robots' starting skill players combined for over 110 points. And a bright spot for Team Never Lost, rookie running back James Robinson continues to impress on a frankly bad Jacksonville team, showing some promise for a potential, 2023 playoff run? We'll see. 191 to 164, Lock'em Sock'em Robots in 2020. Over in Western Mass, Hammond Throw welcomed the Harry Snotters, and this one was hairy for them indeed. Without star Christian McCaffrey and standout Raheem Mostert, they would look for someone to step up. But instead they saw a drop in production from several other players, including quarterback Lamar Jackson. Hammond would capitalize on this, carried by a heaping 26.8 points from Austin Eckler. Our final is 184 to 168, Hammond. We now move to Orland Park, where we saw excitement roar for the White Sox as they clinched a playoff berth. This roar would be heard on the fantasy field as well, but in turn by the visiting team Big Chungus 22. Russell Wilson took on the crowd with a booming 36.8 points, supported by a crowd of 4 others with 15-plus point games. Strong performances for Jonathan Allen and Mike Davis would not be enough as the mental brick walls fall to Big Chungus 22, 192 to 177. In the final matchup this weekend, we find ourselves in sunny Santa Monica, where What Tifuk Richard supported Big Oil and flooded out the ocean town with points early on. Josh Allen, Justin Wilson, and Aaron Donald combined for a whopping 80.6 points to give Richard a near 35-point lead with only the Sunday night game left to play. But Alan Lazard would bring Out in Fumbleland back into the conversation, and a forced fumble and fumble recovery by Zadarius Smith would make this one interesting late in the game. Fumbleland would not be able to make up for poor performances this week, however, and fall on a nail-biter, 199 to 196. That's all for this week. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Tommy Bahama, for that recap. While Demo Gordon may be the only team that's undefeated, there are currently 2 teams looking for their first win after going through a 3-week slide to start the year. TNN reached out to owners Joe and Miguel to see how they're dealing with the 0-3 start. Here is what they had to say.
The TNN has asked me to comment on my 0-3 start in this year's World's 9 Best Fantasy Football Players League. On this matter, the only thing I have to say is the draft was rigged.
I think the fact that I'm now considered one of the lowest 2 ranked teams in this league is BS, because I am much closer to being in the point totals of people like Grayson, Timmy, Nooch, Will, all these idiots who don't know what they're doing. At least I have picks for next year, And And I also started with one of the toughest schedules out there. I wasn't able to get the win with Nooch when I should have, but Tom, Dan, I think potentially two of the best teams out there. I'm also gonna get Ham and Throw this week, so it's not gonna be a great start. But then I think week 6 against Jacob is a lock for me, at least for my first win, since all of his players are on bye. And then from week 8 through week 7 through week 11, I might go on a 4-0 stretch, maybe at least 3-1. So I don't know what you guys are talking about. This is BS. I've been having some tough losses, but my team's not flashy, but I've probably got the best defense out there, and you guys should be scared for when freaking Chris Godwin can actually play an entire game and Leonard Fournette becomes the RB1 for Tampa Bay. As soon as that happens, and maybe Greg Ward starts actually producing week to week, and maybe T.Y. Hilton gets his act together, undefeated rest of the season. And may I just add, race to the bottom, that's BS, because Joe is now like Usain Bolt in the race to the bottom, and nobody's going to catch up to him. His team is ass, okay? Maybe he will, because he only checks his freaking fantasy. He only checks the sleeper once a week or so I think something might happen to him. But I honestly think I also have Nooch the last week. I know I don't have Tampa Bay because they're going to be on bye, and that's 3 of my biggest players. But dude, I could go 5-8, 6-7 in the regular season. If I get to 6-7 territory, depending on how many points I get and how the rest of the season pans out, I could be going for a little playoff spot. That's all I'm gonna say. That's my goal, to be in the playoff conversation the last 2 weeks. But y'all are haters, man. Haters are gonna hate. At least I know this week I'm gonna have your guys' support. Screw you guys.
And thank you to Joe and Miguel for those comments. Always great to know how the bottom feeders of the league are looking to turn things around moving into week 4. And now, here is Danny Football with your preview of week 4 action. Hey, what's up, guys? The world's 9 best fantasy football players expert, Danny Football here, back with another week of expert predictions. Last week was not great for me. Went 3-3, so 500. Still an expert, of course. This moving my total on the year to 12-6, which is pretty respectable. My guest last week, Mike Vanek, went 4-2 with his picks. So congratulations to Mike Vanek for beating the fantasy football experts. And who knows, maybe we'll have him back on the show to see if it was just a fluke or if he can really back up that 1 week good performance. Now, we have a new week, a new guest. So guest, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
What's up, everyone? It's Wildy Trump, no longer Mike Vanek. He has come and gone. Danny Football, thanks for having me on the show, man. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Just wrong beverage. Just enjoying a cold Gatorade beverage here, man. Always repping the brand. This stuff is delicious. I really recommend the 32-ounce one. It's on sale right now, 10 for $10 at your local Jewel Osco. Go buy the product. Tell them Cactus Will sent you. And yeah, thanks again for having me, Danny. I'm really excited to beat you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for being on the show. And legal disclaimer, we are not officially sponsored on this show. So please keep that in mind.
As of now. TBD.
All right. So our first matchup this week, we have Demo Gordon taking on the Mental Brick Walls. Currently, Demo Gordon is favored at a 95% chance to win, but I have to point out that is in large part due to Brett still having Money Mitch as his starter. So expect that to tighten up later this week. Will, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, Danny, I think it's a brutal quarterback matchup for Brett to begin with. He's got either Mitch as a starter, like you said. He's got Big Ben on the bench, pegged to play against the Tennessee Titans. They've got COVID. Who knows if they'll actually show up for the game or play hooky. And then so we might have to turn to the Baker option, which would be interesting for sure. Meanwhile, Demo is absolutely loaded. He's got Kamara, Tyler Lockett coming off a 3-touchdown game, Amari Cooper all sorts of good stuff. I think this is my super lock of the week. The Cinderella story is over here. Hopefully not for the Bears, but definitely for Brett. And I think Demo Gordon mashed that buy button, moves to 4-0.
Yeah, I mean, both of these teams are dealing with some key injuries. We got Demo Gordon losing Chris Carson for a few weeks, and Brett's got that big question mark at the tight end spot with Jordan Reed going down. Is Kittle going to play? Who knows? Additionally, I think that benching of quarterback Money Mitch Trubisky could be a big blow to the team morale for the brick walls. And I agree with you. I got to go with Demo Gordon. I think Demo Gordon's going to keep rolling, pick up another big win right here.
As Jacob says, always be the one to yeet. Don't get yoded. So I think he's going to yeet again. You're a smart man, Danny.
All right, moving on to our next one. We've got What Tifuk Richard taking on the Harry Snotters. What Tifuk Richard is coming into this one favored at a 66% chance to win after escaping by the skin of their teeth for the past 2 weeks. This one is really tough to pick because of injuries to both of these teams. When I look at these teams, I see a lot of red out messages. When it comes down to it, the Snotters have been hit with just a few too many key injuries for them to inspire any confidence in this expert. I have to go with What Tifuk Richard.
I think that's a heck of a pick, Danny. I'm right there with you. Never pick against the expert, except when you need to beat him. I think Josh Allen looked pretty darn elite last week for Team Richard, and I love Jonathan Taylor at running back. Got an elite defense led by Aaron Donald. It's going to be too much for the Snotters to overcome. Expect a heavy forecast of tears and snot from Timmy as the iconic YouTube video, What the Fuck, Richard, stomps all over him.
Our next matchup we got Ham and Throw going up against undefeated, never lost. TNN fact checkers have deemed this team name to be a, quote, pants on fire lie. Ham and Throw currently the favorite in this one with a 71% chance to win. What are your thoughts here?
This one, inspiring to see Miguel, the 0-3. The name doesn't match up with the record for sure, but I think the record doesn't reflect just how good this team could really be. He's got a fantastic nickname in Joe, someone please take him, or something like that. Burrow. I love people that nickname their people. I think, honestly, this sounds crazy. I think Miguel could be due for one if he takes Cam Newton off his bench and starts him over Joe Burrow this week. That's some big points left on the bench right there. I don't know if he's tanking or what, but I think this is my upset pick of the week. I like Miguel, actually, to get it done for the first time against Hammer Bro.
Wow, yeah. Big upset right there.
Have to call it.
You know what? Miguel has one of 2 winless teams in the league, and I think this matchup here presents one of his best chances to turn that around so far. I actually had this script written about how I think Visconti was going to pull it out if Michael Thomas plays. Big wide receiver would be a big boost to his team. But I'm putting Ham and Throw on upset alert. I think that Miguel is way better than that 0-3 record says he is. The only difference between him and Nooch at 2-1 is like 9 points over the few weeks so far. I think Miguel's team, not as bad as everyone thinks. Ham and Throw, overrated. Undefeated, never lost. About to pick up their first win. Next matchup, we have the Tex Arcana Bandits taking on Team Big Chungus 22. Bandits are coming into this one as slight favorites at 56%. Fans of the show will know that I've been high on the Bandits, picking them every week so far, only to be let down over the past 2 weeks with disappointing performances. And I'm ready to set myself up to be let down again. I'm picking the Bandits in this one. I know that short round and alliteration cannot possibly let me down 3 weeks in a row. Prove me wrong.
I would love to prove you wrong, as I am the Big Chungus himself. I obviously not going to be picking against my boys in this one. I think Team Texacarana, or whatever he calls himself, their biggest asset is the nicknames of all his players. And JJ the Jet Plane, a.k.a. Julio Jones, out last week, questionable for this week. Who knows if he gets the start. He's also got James Conner and Juju Smith-Schuster as 2 of his big point contributors. And they're playing the Titans, who, again, worried about that COVID. That's my big thing on my radar this week. Russ put up about 36 for me last week. I think the Chungus gets it done. He's just too girthy in this one. I'll take myself.
All right, moving on. We got Team M. Vanek taking on Better at Fantasy Baseball. Who do you like in this one?
I gotta stick with Team Vanek. He's got the lamest name in the league, Team M. Vanek, but it's a beautiful thing, honestly. And the defenses I'm looking at in this one, very favorable for who a lot of his players are playing. And although the quarterback matchup is the best we're going to see all week between Dak and Mahomes, not in real life, but in the fantasy game, I think Dak puts up more points than Mahomes this week and gets it done for Team Mike Vanek.
Yeah, Team M. Vanek, they're favored in this one, and they've been really hot lately with 2 straight wins of putting up over 200 points. And on the other hand, Joe has recently lost the Fantasy Baseball Championship to Mike Visconti and is riding a 3-game losing streak going into this one. There's been some questions swirling about team ownership and whether they can really inspire confidence, whether they have the right ownership there for the Better at Fantasy Baseball boys. I think those lingering doubts are really going to affect Joe's team here, and I got to go with Team M. Vanek. And finally, our marquee matchup of the week. The Lock'em Sock'em Robots are taking on Out in Fumbleland. This one's supposed to be pretty close, with the Robots favored, with a 64% chance to win. And this is sure to have big consequences for the Crewmen division. These are currently the top 2 teams. Who do you like here?
You know, I'll be honest. I think the big storyline in this one is the kicker matchup. 2 all-time names and all-time greats. We got Young Ho taking on the Rex Specs, Roberto Blankenship. And I think I've been loving DK Metcalf for Tooch's team. I think he's going to continue to put up big numbers opposite of his body fat, which is remarkably low. And I think Team Tooch, Lock'em Sock'em Robots, lock him in for me. I've got them this week.
Great pick right there.
Not pandering at all.
Of course, of course. Out in Fumbleland is coming off of a heartbreaking loss last week to Nooch and his terrible team. And I'm expecting them to come into this one with a lot to prove, a lot of motivation. But I think Devontae is going to be a big question mark for this team. That lingering injury, they're playing on Monday night. He's a big player if he plays, but is that a risk that Tom's willing to take? Additionally, the Rona has officially hit the NFL. Derrick Henry, the Titans, big player. Are they going to play this week? We don't know. The Robots have been hit with a lot of injuries, but we know more or less who they are going into this week, and I'm giving them the edge here. I'm going with the Lock'em Sock'em Robots.
I absolutely love it, Danny. That's a great pick. I'll see you at the end of the week when I've got the better record, but I think we had a lot of similar picks. I'll be honest, we might have only had one different there.
I think so.
And
I mean, great minds think alike.
Amen.
Of course.
Amen. That's why I'm on this show. You know, they don't invite just anyone out here.
That's true.
And I paid my money. I want everyone to know I paid my money. Screw you, haters.
Well, Big Chungus, thank you so much for being on the show this week. I really appreciated having you on. Love the picks. Not as great as mine, of course,
Never.
but of course,
Hey.
the guests can never match up.
Exactly.
But again, thank you for being on. Hopefully, we'll have you back on at some point in the future.
Honored to have the pleasure, Danny. Catch you later, brother.
Thank you to Danny Football and guest Big Chungus for those great predictions for Week 4. That's all we have for you this week. Be sure to tune in next time to see how those picks turned out, which teams won their Week 4 matchups, and if Joe and Miguel will ever get that crucial first win. This has been TN.
Tucci, you have no idea how many takes that took. Like, I'm giving up. This is the best that you're gonna get.